talk about success with different people on the internet. I'm your host, Alanah, and today we have Cammie Scott.
Hello.
Hi, Cammie.
How are you?
I'm excited. How are you?
I'm so excited to do this. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So we kind of texted a little bit about what I was going to ask you right away, but we'll just start off how you measure your own success and how you have your relationship with success. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my God.
We'll just start.
We're going in big.
We're going straight in.
Yeah, I feel like this is something I've been thinking about more because I have imposter syndrome with success.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's like being an adult. When you're a kid, you think adults must feel like adults. They must feel like they have their shit together.
Oh, yes.
They really got it going on. And then you become an adult. I'm 30 now, and I feel like a kid still. And now I realize you always kind of feel that way.
And you just have to kind of try. You just have to fake it.
Yeah,
Fake
exactly.
it till you make it kind of thing.
100%. So, I don't know. I think what's helped me understand the success I've had is thinking, what would little Cammie think of me now? Mm-hmm. And being like, oh, she'd be stoked. She'd be so happy that I got to where I am and that I'm happy. I'm not compromising who I am to be where I am. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a flat out answer of how I measure my success.
Yeah.
I guess I measure it off of how happy and well-rounded my life feels.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. My question about that is can you be happy and not successful? And can you be successful and not happy? Because I feel you can say, I measure it on how happy I am, but what if you're not happy, but you're doing really well financially or in your career or with whatever else you're working on? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
I don't think that I would say I'm successful if I'm not happy. I mean, you don't have to be happy all the time. Shit happens, life happens, things aren't always going to be perfect. But if I was only successful in my career and the rest of my life wasn't working, I wouldn't call that successful. Yeah. I think there's different areas of your life that you have success in, and just success in work isn't enough to me. That, I wouldn't even call that successful in work because the balance would be all off.
Yeah. Do you feel something's shaped that? Was there a moment where you're oh, I have to measure this on how happy I am, fully, not just in one thing? Was there a moment where you just realized that?
I don't think there was a specific moment. It was just finding success in different areas, but other things not working and being why am I not happy yet? This was my gauge of when I would be happy no matter what it was, whether it was something about myself. I struggled with my body image for a long time. So it was when I look this certain way, I'm going to be happy and feel that's success. And that didn't happen, or a certain milestone in my career. But then my personal life was falling apart. Mm-hmm. I think when I realized that it has to be everything, you can't just pick one or the other. I think just having so many moments of great success in one area and failures in the other, that lack of balance kind of showed me, okay, we need everything here.
Yeah. You need to have the balance to feel successful and
yeah. Balance is my measure of success, I guess.
Oh,
really.
Good. Do you think your family life shaped any of that? How was your life growing up? What about your parents? What are they like?
I feel I'm in therapy. I
know.
Maybe it did shape that. Yeah, I think my mom has always been my ideal of career success. She works so hard, and there's no time frame something has to happen. If she wants something to happen, she's gonna make it happen one way or the other. I remember my mom wanted to take us to Disneyland when we were little kids. My dad was we cannot afford that. What are you talking about?
It was so expensive. It still is.
It is expensive. It is overpriced. That could be another episode. It's so overpriced. But my mom went to her closet and took out a ton of cash, which probably shouldn't keep a bunch of cash in your sock drawer, but she did, and she's threw it on the kitchen floor, and we counted it. It was all her tip money, and she was yeah, we can make this happen. I can make this happen. And she paid for my college because she was I don't want you stressing about this. And she would just do 10 different jobs. I don't know if I said she's a hairdresser yet, but she worked on 8 movies in one summer to pay for my college. She just finds a way and makes it happen. And she's always been big on manifesting. So I think my mom has shaped my idea of career success, and then she's also always been there. She's definitely the super mom.
Support.
Yeah. So I think I'm like, okay, she's got this figured out.
So that's like who you kind of look up to for those types of things.
100%.
My dad was kind of like that. He would always be like, the money part we'll figure out. Like, if you want to do something, like, let's do it. Yeah. And so it was always like that motivation. Like, he was always that motivation. So that makes like a lot of sense.
Yeah, that is exactly how my mom was. It was like, find your dream, and then we'll figure out the logistics later, whether it's finances, like school, we'll figure it out.
Wait, so you mentioned dream. Do you think that you can be successful in like whatever you dream, like whatever your dreams are to be? Or do you think that there's kind of, you can have your dreams and your passions for things, and then you can have your career success somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't think that they have to be the same. I feel a little torn about like, if you do
Living
something
your
you
dream.
love, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't want to put all of my passions into like linked to my finances, because I think it can suck the fun out of it.
It really does
like,
sometimes.
Working online, I love it. It's so much fun, but then having a creative job makes your creativity in a time frame and your life depends on it. And I think that can be overwhelming. I don't think your career has to be like everything. You can work just to make money, and I think that that's okay. If you can, going back, find balance in your life, and you're not like,
and find like your like hobbies and passions outside of just working all the time.
I don't see a problem in that. I think we get too stuck on like, you have to completely love it. I think if you should enjoy it and it should be fulfilling, but you're like, if you're an artist and you love painting, that doesn't mean you have to be making money off of it to have that passion and continue to do it.
I feel like then you kind of get to that like burnout phase that everyone talks about.
Yes.
When you're doing something you love and it's your job, you kind of end up like, oh, well, I have to keep doing this, but how can I still have fun with it when I'm burnt out?
Yeah, I think it can really suck the joy out of it. So if you are finding a way to monetize your passion, you should also have like a creative outlet for that. Like I mentioned before, being an artist. If you are selling your work and you're making money, that's great, but then make sure you have something that's just for you. Yeah. It shouldn't just be about making money.
Do you have any of those things? Like, do you have like something that's just you, like your fun thing?
Yeah, I feel like my fun stuff is not related to work at all, really. I think even when like vlogging, for example, and I make money off of making YouTube videos, I take so many videos. Like I feel like a mom with the big old camera. I have so many videos that I will never post. Yeah. Because they're just special moments that I want for me. You know, it's like
just to have, so you can look back at whenever you want to.
Exactly. I'll go into something knowing I'm never going to share this with anyone, but just be like, I have it, feels so nice. I think I do that a lot more than I really even realize.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's interesting. My little hobby has randomly been doing nails. Like,
really?
I do my own nails. I'll do Daisy's nails.
You want to do my nails?
Yes, I'm down. I don't know why I picked this up. It was before the pandemic, too. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like I was bored at home. I just randomly decided I was going to do nails.
That
and I
is
just started
so
doing
cute. That sounds so calming. I like hobbies that I can zone out and like hyper focus on and kind of just do nothing. But I'm always shaky, and I could never do nails. But
I'd be like,
yeah, I need like I don't know. I love reading. Like, yeah, I just like zoning out.
Reading. Okay. Do you do any other like artistic thing? Because you have like your videos and stuff, and that's really artistic. But is there anything else that you do that's artistic?
It's so funny because I don't consider myself a creative person.
Really? Are you a business person?
Yeah, I'm way more like, I don't think I was meant for the job that I'm in. I always call it a happy accident.
There, yeah.
It worked out, but I would probably be more successable being like a manager and doing behind the scenes stuff. That's what I always saw myself doing, and then fell into this, and it kind of just worked. And I'm very go with the flow kind of person and not forcing things. So yeah, I don't know. I do not consider myself a creative person at all. So I don't have like
those types of
big
hobbies.
Creative outlets. Yeah. Because I don't feel like I need that. I'm already tapped out with my job.
You're like, I've done enough creative things.
Yeah. I'm like, it's work already to get those creative juices flowing for work, that I like mindless hobbies.
Do you like working with like other people, or do you like working alone? Like, what's your creative like process when you're doing your videos?
You know,
or like pictures or whatever.
I think I prefer working with people. Like, my favorite part of my job is my podcast. I think that's so fun. I love having these conversations with people, hearing different opinions and like different lives people have lived. That's what I enjoy the most. And it's the thing I make the least amount of money in,
Yeah.
which is so funny because I guess it goes back to your hobbies don't have to be what you're making the most money in.
Yeah. It can just be something that brings you joy so you can continue to do the other thing that does make you money.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the podcast is my biggest joy when it comes to career.
Creating.
Yeah, and then I don't know, I feel like taking pictures at home alone and doing all that stuff, like I enjoy it because it is kind of like I zone out and do it, and I love editing because I can just zone out. But other than that, like I think I'm more of a collaborative person.
Yeah.
God, I'm having so many epiphanies about my job right now. I'm like, what is this therapy session?
No, but it is interesting because, like, the other people I talked to, Allie was like, I like doing everything by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do everything by myself. Jade was like, no, I love working with people. You're saying you love working with people. Morgan's just by herself, but she also, she likes brainstorming with other people.
Yeah.
But she likes to do her, like, she likes to edit her own videos. Like, Allie said she likes to edit her own videos. Do you ever, like, say, okay, I need help with something, and like,
I'm so bad at that.
Are you bad at asking for help?
I can't delegate. Yeah. I feel like I have to have control over everything. I hired somebody to work on the podcast with me, and and that and my manager are the only two people that I have.
And did it take a while to like find the right people for that?
Oh my God, yeah. It takes forever, and I still like never want to give up any part of the process. It's so difficult to do. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm a weird balance of I want to do it all myself. I want to do that work alone, but I need a sounding board, which is normally my girlfriend. I will just like talk at her what my ideas are, and then it'll give me ideas, and sometimes I don't even let her say 2 words. Yeah.
Like she doesn't say anything.
Yeah, she's like, I'm like, never mind, I got it.
Why do you think it's so hard for you to delegate projects? Like, do you feel like you can do it better than like anyone else?
No,
or what is
I
it?
don't. I know that like I'm horrible at editing. If I want to do any little fun text on the screen, I'm Googling it and YouTubing it for hours. It takes so long.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not great at articulating what my vision is because I don't know what it is until it exists.
You're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it would take longer and more work for me to sit down and be like, I want this, this, and this, and I want it to look like that.
Yeah.
It's easier if I can just learn how to do everything. And I've always been very independent, so I don't like asking for help. So you look like you were going to write that down like a therapist.
Very independent.
So yeah, I don't know. I could benefit from delegating a little better, but it's just
you know
not
what I'm
in me.
taking from these podcasts?
What?
Every single person
That we're all stressed.
just wants to have full control of their projects.
Yeah, I think everyone gets into things for different reasons, but I feel like I've learned so much about myself filming parts of my life, and then watching it back is such a weird experience, good and bad sometimes, to see how you appear to other people. And I don't know, I feel like it's become such an important part of my self-discovery and understanding who I am that I wouldn't want to lose all of that and not get to edit and not get to like, I don't know.
Like be part of the whole process.
Yeah.
How are you with change? Because your career has changed from like when it first started to now, and I'm sure it's going to change again. Like how do you deal with change?
I kind of have a sick obsession with change.
Oh, you love it.
I love it. I really do. Like little things like getting new clothes. Like I get excited about just like having a new thing. Yeah. So I don't mind that at all. I don't I like having order and a schedule, and I know what to expect, but I want that perfect order and schedule to often change.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Like
I used to love change too, and I think I still do. Like I love moving for some reason. I mean, I
used to love moving.
No,
too.
I hate moving. I said that wrong. I
hate
you
like
moving,
having a new
but
place.
I like having a new place. So I love that, but I also getting a little deeper. I went to a psychiatrist when I was going through this hard time, and they diagnosed me with adjustment disorder, which is like not adjusting well to change, like having a horrible time through change. Which is weird.
Wait, but you like it.
Yeah, because I thought I liked it. And that's what I was going through. I was like not dealing well with it. But depending on what it is, because I like having like order too.
Yeah.
Just depends on like what part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think change can be exciting because there's like, it's almost like every New Year's, everyone's making their resolutions, and that's so fun. But then there's also that fear of like, what if things don't change for the better? What if I can't do this? What if I don't improve? So I think it depends if you're like optimistic about
that change.
A change is going to like bring you new energy and you're going to do better, or if you're a little pessimistic and being like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to live up to
Has
this.
any change ever been like a bad change that you've had to overcome where you're like, okay, this didn't work out in my favor, but now I have to change it again? Has anything like that happened?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty impulsive. Once I want to do something, I will just go do it immediately. Like, I'm definitely more focused on just making something happen and being efficient than perfectionism. So I rush things a lot, and I just
like that too.
Yeah, I just like, I'm like, oh, I want to do it, and I'll just go, which it's something I like about myself, and I also dislike because I need to just slow down sometimes and come up with a better plan.
Yeah.
But that's just how things have worked out for me. I do better when I just don't overthink it, jump into it, and not care if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure there's been 1,000,001 times things didn't work out, but nothing really comes to my mind because I just kept going with it.
You just keep going, yeah.
Yeah, and then if an idea is like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I just jump ship, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it if I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep doing it.
So you're fine with saying like, this isn't working and I'm just going to move on?
Yeah, but sometimes I do that too much. Like with my podcast, I will have like a down spell where I'm not feeling confident about it and I'm questioning what I'm doing, and I'm like, I should just throw in the towel and stop. I think being flexible can also lend itself to quitting too soon and not like pushing through that adversity and not just being like, oh, you know what, this isn't working, it's not right, but being like, oh, it's not working how it is. That just means I need to adapt and change. It doesn't mean this entire idea needs to be thrown in the trash. Yeah. So I give up on things a little too easily.
I used to. I think I said that before, but I used to like give up on sports. Yeah. In high school and stuff, I would do a sport for 2 years, and then I'm like, I'm done with this. And same thing with like almost everything I've ever done until I guess recently. Now I'm like sticking to things a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think I've gotten better at that too. I have like a fear of not being good at something that I won't do things like even silly stuff. Like I'm horrible at basketball. So when people are like running around playing basketball, I don't want to play because I know I'm going to suck at it. Like very silly things to very extreme things that have to do with my career. And I've definitely over probably the past 2 years have gotten better at figuring it out and being okay with not being good until you, because everyone sucks at it before they get started, before they get
Yeah.
So I've gotten a lot better at sticking it out and trying harder and not just being like, this isn't right for me.
And you said something about perfection. Like you said you would like jump into something and like just do it, and then you wouldn't think about like those little things that you could perfect. Do you think that practice makes perfect on like certain situations, and like you can like become successful if you just keep at those things?
Yeah, I think it's a really delicate balance of knowing what suits you and what suits your skill set and what you are good at, and what, like, how do you know what you need to work on and what you can improve on and what just isn't right for you.
Knowing what isn't right for you is hard.
It's so hard, and I think that comes with self-awareness and understanding yourself a lot more and what you enjoy and what you are good at, and being able to be like, no, that I'm not good at that, and that's okay. But yeah, it's all a balance.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh my God, so many things. It changed constantly. It's funny because I literally started this saying I'm not a creative person, and I think everything I wanted to do growing up was some kind of creative field. I wanted to be an interior designer. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to be a stylist. It was all like very creative, aesthetic careers. I guess.
I could see all those things for you.
Honestly,
did that dream go away? Or like,
I think it just progressed. It became more of, like we were saying, hobbies, where I kind of realized that I really enjoyed doing those things for myself. I like coming up with an outfit idea in my head and like searching the internet to find where that outfit exists. Or decorating our home. Like I enjoyed that, but I didn't like the pressure of having to create something for other people. Or matching their styles and like understanding what they wanted. So I think that's when I realized those were just a passion. Like I like what my aesthetic eye wants, not figuring out what other people want. So yeah, I think that's when all of those careers were like, oh, that's just my hobby, and that's what I like to do for myself, and that's not what I'm going to do for other people.
Where do you find like motivation and inspiration for any of those things? Like you said, fashion, or for your job, or for whatever. Where do you find like inspiration? And
I Kind of just anywhere. I don't really like seek out that inspiration. Just I love the internet so much. I think it's such an incredible tool. I mean, there's a ton of negative things about the internet as well, but I love that it has brought in so many different types of people together, and we can just, and that makes trends change so quickly too. Like, which is also good or bad, but a song is so popular for a week and then you forget that it even existed because things are so quick. But I also think there's so much value in that people you would never be able to get inspiration from, you're being able to do that. To it, like I will just look through people who are following me because I'm like, obviously we have some kind of common interest if you're following me. And I'm like, they're wearing something that's dope. Yeah, I feel like people don't think about it that way a lot. Yeah, I never thought about it. But those are your people. Those are like, that's a reflection of who you are. If you have a following online, the people that you're attracting is what you're putting out into the world. So I think it's a good way to assess how you're being seen by the world and if that's a type of attention you're trying to attract.
That is so interesting. I've never thought about that, but that's so true.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought about that. Now I'm like, who is following me?
Thrilled to blow your mind. I know. Should we check? Like, oh, shit.
I had a question, but that like literally blew my mind. Like, I'm like, wait, who is following me? What was that question? Oh no, it was about the internet. So that's funny you said it could be a bad thing as well, but I forget what I was listening to or watching or whatever, but this little quote stuck in my mind. Oh no, it was something I was reading, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, it was about money and how like you see people like say like the 1% or like people with a lot of money and you're like, oh, they're bad. But I think it's our like they said it was our relationship to money and like that the money's not the bad, it's the people or like the person that has it, because there are people that have it and that are good. So same thing with the internet. There are people on the internet that are bad, but there's people bad in the world. And then there are people on the internet that are good. And I think it's like our perspective and like who we're choosing to follow, who we're choosing to like look at on the internet. Yeah. That makes it like good or bad.
That's so interesting. Yeah. It's like the currency isn't the problem. It's what you do with that. And whether that be money or followers or your access to the internet or anything, it's like you have this form of currency and are you using that to do something good or are you using that to do something bad? Yeah. Just that's really interesting. Yeah. I like that.
So we talked about your inspiration. What about your motivation? Like, how do you get up in the morning and do that? Like, what you do?
I really do think I just enjoy it a lot. Like, I feel like I'm good at it, and that's really enjoyable to me. And I feel like there's some purpose to it. I think for a couple years, I wasn't getting up and being excited to do it because I just felt like there was no purpose anymore. For so long, when I started my career on the internet, it was to create representation for lesbians who look like me and didn't see that somewhere because I didn't have that. So I felt like there was this lack of representation. Yeah. I don't feel that lack. I mean, we could always use more. There is still lack of diversity for femme lesbians, but that's not like that doesn't
purpose anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. So I felt like I had shared my story. I did what I wanted to do. I created that example of like, okay, you can like girls and be very feminine and wear a dress or wear makeup. That's fine. And then I got over that. I was just like, we've done this. We've shared this story so many times. So once I started sharing other people's stories, and I think that's why I love the podcast so much, that gave me purpose. It was like, okay, this isn't about me anymore. It's about creating a community for people where they can share ideas, where they can have their voices heard. It's not like, I don't want people to follow me and be like, oh, I'm following Cammie Scott. I want it to be like, oh, I'm part of this community of people who want to hear these different stories. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think once I did that and it had a bigger purpose, I got excited again. And I was like pumped to create and make all kinds of different content, whether it is just about me or if it's about other people. It re-inspired me.
That's so good. I feel like I kind of like reached a wall with LGBT content too. Yeah. And then I kept coming back to it. I don't know if you see my TikToks, but like
I follow you.
I just don't know what to do next. I'm like, how many TikTok like jokes can I make about lesbians? I don't know, but I feel like I've reached my there's probably like 700 videos on there about being a lesbian.
But it's hard because that is what people are reacting to. And it's a lot of the reasons why people started following. Yeah, exactly. So it's what that current audience wants to see. So now let's say let's say you start really enjoying posting nail videos.
Yeah.
It might get no views. And then that might make you feel discouraged and be like, no one wants to see this. But I definitely went through that too. My entire content was all about being gay. And I realized there's so much more to me. If I like listed out all of the things that I would describe myself as, being gay would not be
the top one.
No, not at all. Or like the top 10 even.
Yeah.
Like I'm so proud of that part of me and I am so unapologetic about it and it is a big part of me, but it's just not the only thing and it's not the only thing I want to share. So I started creating content that I wanted to and I saw it not do as well and that was discouraging. But I just kept doing that because like I said, you're going to attract people who are like-minded, who do want to see that. So instead of basing your content and what you're doing off of the current eyes who are seeing it, make your content what the people you want to come. Yeah, exactly. So you'll get there eventually. You just can't get caught up in the numbers and watching them plummet if it's something. Because if you love it and you're proud of it,
will love it.
Exactly, 100%.
So what about like when you do get discouraged? How do you like bounce back from it? Like, how do you bounce back?
It depends why I'm feeling discouraged. For a long time, I would go through these waves of like, I'm doing awesome. I feel so productive. I want to do 1,000 things today and just work all day. And then I'd have a day where I'm like, I'm worthless. Everything sucks. And that was definitely mental health related. So I had to work through that.
Work through that first. Separately.
Yeah. And I think I feel like the theme of my life is balance. So I'm going to say it 1,000 times. But once I found that balance of like, okay, that is these like internal thoughts that are so wrong that I need to work through. But yeah, some days, especially when you're working in a creative field, you're going to feel burnt out. Yeah. And I think in our like quick society of like, you have to post. Like you have to post on Instagram every day and you have to do a YouTube video once or twice a week. It's not realistic. Think of your favorite TV show. Like there's seasons, there's breaks because it's not realistic or you're going to start making really crappy quality content. Yeah. So I think.
Do you give yourself breaks? Like, are you like, you're good about that? Or?
Yeah, I loved my job originally because I could work flexible hours. And now I've turned into like, I work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 and I don't work on the weekends because I realized that works better for me, having like an on and off time. Yeah. Because for a long time I felt like I was either always working or never working. So having like that.
A schedule. Yeah. And that's what you were talking about earlier. Like you like having a schedule.
Oh, love it. Eat that shit up. It makes me so happy. I thrive off of having a set schedule. Now, I can do a different thing every day, but as long as I'm feeling productive and making sure I stop to have dinner and spend time with my girlfriend and my dogs. I think giving yourself those consistent breaks are key. But then also recognizing that if you're not feeling up to something in that moment, don't do it. I used to force myself to record podcasts when I didn't feel up to it, and then I would hate the episode and either not want to put it out or want to re-record it. So I set myself back and just created more work for myself than if I would have just taken a second, pushed it a day or two, and collected myself. I think you have to do that, especially if you're in a creative field. It is so necessary.
Do you think there's certain like, what's the word? I wrote down skills, but that's not what I'm looking for. Do you think there's certain like qualities? It's qualities. Do you think there's certain qualities that successful people just have or like have decided to have?
Yeah, I think having a lot of self-awareness is something that I recognize a lot in successful people. And I think like acknowledging your adversities as like another stepping stone. I forget where I heard this story, but this dad used to have the kids come home and instead of being like, what did you learn today? Or what did you do well today? It was, what did you fail at today? Oh yeah. And I think recognizing those failures and those adversities as good things has always been a thing that propels successful people. Yeah. And recognizing that, not like just seeing something go wrong and being like, well, that's it, which is something I absolutely had to work on. Like I said, I would throw in the towel so quickly. And I think moving past that is something I've recognized in a lot of successful people.
I think that is such a good thing to have, is like just being aware of who you are and like what you do wrong sometimes so that you can get better.
Yeah, it's like we should always be working on ourselves. And I think people forget about that and want to just focus on what they thrive on and want to think that they're perfect and confident. And confidence is important, but you should always be working to improve yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people who don't do that are really missing out on a way that they could be successful.
Yeah. Let's go back on that fake it till you make it, though.
Mm-hmm.
So how far are you going to fake it? And, like, to believe in yourself almost. Like, sometimes you have to fake, like, put on a smile, and then you actually start feeling better. Like, that type of thing. Do you think, like, how far do you go to, like, fake it, you know?
All I can think about with the fake it till you make it thing right now is the Theranos Elizabeth Holmes thing going on right now. You know, that tech giant who, like, lied and it was all fraud. I'm like, fraud, fake it till you make it. It's all I can think about when I hear that right now. Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think fake it till you make it forces you to go learn skills that you might not have and be a little bit self-sufficient. If your boss asks you to do something and you don't initially know how, try to figure it out. But I think sometimes that can get you in a bit of a sticky situation. Yeah, I think fake it till you make it should just be something to propel you to try new things that you might not necessarily be great at. But I think it makes people not want to ask for help. Yeah. And I think some of the most successful people know when to ask for help. Like, I really think the most successful people are all the things that I was really horrible at for a really long time and that I've worked to improve on and get better at. And that's like the self-awareness, the knowing what you're good at, knowing how to delegate. So
we're going to have to come back to that part because I'm going to ask you a question that's probably going to be those answers.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
But do you celebrate, like, your small wins? Like, when you've achieved something that you wanted to, do you celebrate those moments? Or are you kind of like, okay, we did it, let's keep going? What is your approach?
Instinctively, I just want to keep going. Okay. I lose sight of the fact that was such a big goal. So kind of like I mentioned before, thinking about what baby Cam would think of me. Yeah. I try to go back and write down what I have achieved this month, this year, however much time has passed, and be like, so you can physically see it. Yeah. Because I think life gets away from us and we forget that we've done these amazing things, whether it's like you bought your dream car or you weren't, like, I remember when I was younger in college, I was so stressed about how I was going to get gas money to drive to school.
I remember
I don't even know how much gas costs right now. That is such a massive point of showing, like, my success, that's not a worry for me anymore. But I don't think about it every time I'm pumping the gas. So I think that's good to, like, write down what you have achieved, big or small, to put it into perspective. Like, you don't have to go out and party and celebrate everything. But I think if you don't recognize that, it gets away from you and you're just constantly chasing the next thing.
And then you kind of feel like you didn't get any success, even though you were probably like thousands of miles away from where you were before.
Yeah. I think when I was feeling really down about myself a couple years ago, that was so important to me to be like, where am I today? Where was I 5 years ago? We should be celebrating this. You should be so proud of yourself instead of judging yourself for what you haven't accomplished. Or that finish line is always going to move. You're never going to get to it if you're not focusing on what you have done.
I think that there is a part of me where I'm like, oh, I'm not successful, even though if I looked back like 10 years, that person would be like, you're so successful. You're so amazing. But, like, that finish line does keep moving. And I'm, like, happy you said writing things down, because that's something I do and I didn't really think about it. I, like, write goals, and then when I get them, I put the date there, and, like, so I have it somewhere, like, logged. Yeah. And when I do look back on it, I'm like, oh my God, this is really cool.
Yeah, this is so impressive. Look at everything I've done. Look what I've, like, checked off my little to-do list.
Yeah. Do you have, like, to-do lists during the day, like, that you check off, or, like, how do you plan your, like, day-to-day kind of thing?
Yeah, that's definitely how my brain works, because if I just keep everything in my head, let's say I have 10 main tasks to do that week, I will feel so overwhelmed. I'll be like, there's no way that this is getting done. So I have, like, a kind of steps of list. My first one is just things that I need to do. Everything's written down. Then I go in a calendar and place when I will do those things. Yeah. And then once I put that down, it's so less daunting of, like, oh, I have a big gap here where I could get lunch with a friend or read a book or put time for myself. And then that way, if something does have to get moved, or I'm feeling like I can't be creative today, I cannot record a podcast, I can go, oh, Thursday, there's a gap here. I can easily put it there. Where before, when I didn't do that, I would just be like, there's no time to do stuff. I would be so anxious and overwhelmed. And then once I took that step back, it was like, this is totally doable. Or if it's not, I know to take more stuff off my plate, or to maybe try to delegate, because I have to in those moments. Yeah.
Do you actually physically write things down, or is it like on your phone, or is it on your iPad? Like,
always
how is
on
it?
my phone. Yeah. I try, like, I like writing stuff down, but then I have like 8 notebooks of to-do lists that I don't even know where they are. So for the sake of being organized, because that's so key for my brain to stay focused, everything is like synced. I use this app called To. So everything's synced. Computer, phone.
Oh, good.
Keep it all organized.
It all goes back and forth. I just use my notes, and like I use the little where you can check it.
Yeah.
I use that, like, my notes for everything.
Yeah.
And
I think
then
lists
my
are
calendar.
key.
Yeah. I didn't realize, though. I didn't realize until this year. Like, this is the first year I started doing it. Yeah, before I would write things down, and my notebook would just be filled with things that I've never done.
Yeah, it just gets so messy for me. Like, I feel like I exist, like, in the in-between of I'm really organized, but I can easily get unorganized. Yeah. Like, I know myself enough that I have to stay organized to be successful. And
in a certain way, too.
So it's like maybe these things aren't natural to me, but because I know I need them, I force myself to do them. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Because I think that's what I'm doing now with, like, my list as well. Like, but that's not natural to me. Like, I'm, like, unorganized. Organized? Like, I don't know.
We're the
like,
same.
I don't know, yeah. But it seems to work for me now. So
you found your groove.
What do you think of luck? Do you think you can get lucky? Do you think...
I'm going to be so cheesy right now and, like, just steal the like well-known quote. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what philosopher said this, and I'm probably going to butcher it. I'm, like, trying to think in my head what it is. But what is it? That luck is where opportunity and preparation meet.
Okay.
Did I do that?
You did. That was good. How did that just come to you?
I don't know. I was like, I know I'm going to say the wrong words or mix it up. But I know that might be overplayed and corny, but I truly do believe that that's what it is. Like, you can't just sit around and be like, oh, everything's going to work out if you're not trying. Like, if you want to be a singer and you've never taken a singing lesson,
like, it's never going to happen.
You're not going to audition. You're not trying to learn instruments. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. But sometimes life is about luck. Like, you could be the best singer in the world, know to play every instrument, go on every audition, and not make it because your opportunity just never presented itself. And that happens. Yeah. But you can't control that. You can't control the opportunity showing up. Yeah. All you can control is the preparation side of it. Yeah. So I think focusing on that and really just making sure you're ready when your opportunity comes.
Creating opportunities, like putting yourself out there a little bit. What do you feel about, like, taking risks in that sense?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think that's that might be the only part of the opportunity you can control because sometimes you have to make the opportunities happen. Like, I don't know why I'm using, like, a painter and a singer, 2 things that I, like, cannot do to save my life. But if you're a singer and you're not going on those auditions, that is your opportunity. You know what I mean? So you might be terrified. You might be shitting yourself before that, but it's worth it. You have to take that leap of faith or you're not going to get to where you want. And that's okay. If you're somebody who wants to live in that, like, safety net, if you're happy with that, that's then great. There's no shame in that. I don't think there's anything wrong with people being content, not jumping for risks. But if you want something bigger, you have to do it.
Are there any risks that you took that you can, like, think of?
I think I didn't realize how risky my career was. Yeah.
Like you're putting your whole life in front of everybody. Like,
oh my God, don't remind me. But I started in 2014, 2015, where there was no blueprint to follow. Yeah. There was no, like, what happens in 10, 15 years? Do you still have a career? Yeah. Are you just, like, washed up and screwed and you're going to have no money?
Washed up? Washed up? Whoa.
It might be a little harsh. But we just didn't know. There were no, like, people who had been doing this for however amount of time. It was all people who'd done it a couple years, and some people had done it really well. But what's the longevity? Like, we know the longevity of different careers. We know the career paths. We know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. And I don't think I realized that was really a risk. Like, I didn't have people in my life who were like, what are you doing? This is crazy. I think I was surrounded by a lot of risk takers, so it just felt normal to me to do it. And in my head, I was like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And I just
What did your parents think, like, initially of you being online?
I'm like shocked that they were never like.
They were like, okay.
What are you? Maybe they didn't get it enough yet. Yeah. When it started, maybe they didn't know to be concerned, but they didn't seem concerned to me. They were just. I think they trust me. I think they really trust that
you're making
I will figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm never gonna like just take the easy route. They knew that was me and there was nothing they could do about it, I guess. So I don't know. I think that was a massive risk jumping into that career. And I have so many people ask me like, how do I get started in YouTube? And everyone in my hometown is judging me. And I'm like, I never even thought about that. I feel more self-conscious about it now when people bring it to my attention that I'm like, in my head, no one I really knew saw my stuff.
Oh, and you're like,
this is anonymous.
Which is good.
Yeah, so I think like that was a risk that I'm like putting myself out there and people I actually know are going to see stuff. But I didn't think about it. So I was a little naive, luckily, because
that's interesting.
I like jumped off a cliff thinking it was right here and not realizing I was flying down
I feel like most people like feel the opposite. They're like, oh my God, everyone's looking at this. Like, I'm embarrassed. And maybe like the people that you're thinking looking at it didn't actually see it. Whereas you were like, no one's looking at it. I don't care.
Yeah. And I don't know why I was like that. I don't know if it was because I had already spent so much time in the closet, so much time hiding who I was or part of who I was. I was like, screw it.
Like, I'm just going for it. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
There comes a point where you stop caring about what people think.
I think so too. I think it's like this, you care so much about what people think. Yeah. And then you maybe care not enough for a little while. Yeah. And then you find that balance of like, oh, it is okay to care as long as it's not changing what I do for myself. Like I can keep other people in mind and make sure I'm not like hurting anyone else or offending anyone else. But as long as I'm doing stuff for myself and I'm happy, I'm good. I'm successful.
Like, you don't mind if people are judging you because it doesn't matter at that point. But like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, then you're good.
Exactly.
What are your next big goals? What's the next things that are happening that you're excited about? Yeah. Or do you have anything?
One, I'm really working on that question not stressing me out every time. Like, I don't know why that always makes me like freeze and be like, oh my God, what am I? Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of my next goals are in my personal life. I feel really comfortable with where my career is right now. I feel like I'm in a group where things are going well, but I think long-term goal, it needs to be more than just social media. I want to have kind of that safety net of my own brand. Yeah. I just don't think I know what that is. And I think that's why that question scares me, that I can't. For so long I was like, I'm going to do skincare. I know I'm going to do that. I love skincare. And then I've more recently thought, maybe that's not it. So I guess my next big steps is figuring out what those steps are.
I think it's good to be like, you should be okay with not having an answer sometimes.
Yeah. I think
like,
getting
I'm not
comfortable
sure
with
what
that.
the next step is, but I'm figuring it out.
Exactly. Like how we were even talking about your next season for this already. Yeah. You didn't know what you were going to do, and you've kind of just let life happen, and then it showed you what you should be doing, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I think I have like so many goals right now that I'm like, come on, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I'm overwhelmed by it, where I need to like relax and let life happen. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes there's too many opportunities or possibilities of where you could take something, and that can just feel so overwhelming, and you kind of feel like you have to do it all. But kind of allowing life to happen, kind of naturally see which one stands out and which one presents itself as like the best opportunity to take.
Which is like how my whole life has been, but I just sometimes try to force other things.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, it's like understanding what's meant for you and not...
And letting that take its course.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's okay to like want things and try to make those things happen, but also just let it go. Like, let it flow.
Yeah, let it flow.
Okay, so we're coming back around, which I'm pretty sure I already know what your answer is going to be. But what would you give, like, what is your like one or two, maybe even three things that you would tell someone who's like, what does it take to be successful? What is the three key like pieces of advice you would give?
Yeah. I think I'm like actually trying to mix it up a little, so I'm not just flat out reiterating everything I've said in this. Yeah. But I think something that's come out from our conversation is kind of knowing a little bit what your finish line is, but allowing that to change. Yeah. Having a plan, and being prepared, but being comfortable with change. I think finding that balance is so important. It is so good to have goals so you know what you're working towards, but allowing life to flow and not letting your world crumble if one part of that plan falls apart or needs to be adapted. Yeah. I think that's really important. I and I know that this sounds so cheesy, but I really do think manifesting is so important.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I should have asked you that. I wanted to ask you that.
I think that's really key. And you don't have to believe in it to this like extreme level of like, I am creating things with my mind. But I think waking up every morning or falling asleep every night thinking, just playing a scenario in your head of exactly what you want your life to be. I have this scenario I do that it's like, it's a morning, probably 10 years in my future. And keeping that in the back of your head, it makes every decision you make go towards that goal.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting this goal like aimlessly float around and you're not focused on it every day.
Yeah.
So I think that goes to the first one of like knowing what that goal is, being aware of what you're trying to do while also remaining flexible, I think is the biggest thing that you could do.
I love that. Because I was going to ask you about manifesting. Because I like started doing it, I think, recently. Whereas before I was like, I don't believe in that. That's like bullshit. But recently I have been like the last like 3 years. And the last 3 years is like how long I've been doing like social media, I guess, like full time. And like that's what I wanted. And it somehow that happened as I was manifesting.
Yeah,
like
it's just
the
another
only time
form
I
of
started
goal
doing
setting.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's no harm in it.
Yeah.
So there's no like, you don't have to 100% buy into it, and you can believe it to a certain degree. It doesn't have to be fully. But yeah, I don't see any harm in it, and I've seen such good things come of it, even if it's just keeping my goals in mind.
Yeah, and if you're like religious, it could be like kind of like a prayer type thing.
Exactly. It's like whatever resonates with you, whatever like rings true to you that you're just saying tapped into and tuned into all the time.
Cool. That was all the questions I have, but I did want to tell you I got you a gift, but it's not here yet because I ordered it off Etsy and they take a long time.
Gift?
I got you a gift, so I'll just show you what
Why
it is.
did you get me a gift?
Wait, what?
Why'd you get me a gift?
So that it could remind you of your time here. Anyways, I'll tell you what it is and then I'll show you what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
It's a necklace, and on one side it says Cammie, and then on the other side it says Thrive. So you could just remember your time here.
Wait, that is so sweet.
And I got you gold because you wear gold, right?
Wow, well
You know
done.
what's crazy? I got everyone gold except for Allie because she has black hair, and I have black hair, and I only wear silver. Wow. So I feel like it's a hair thing. Anyways,
You're observant.
that's what it looks like.
Wait, that is so cute.
Okay, so when it comes, I'll give it to you.
I can't believe you're bribing me after I agreed to do this. I'm just kidding.
But bribe would have been before.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wait.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
having me. It means so much.
This was so fun.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of THRIVECAST. Be sure to hit the red subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified when we drop a new episode. Follow us on Instagram at THRIVECAST Podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.